14th of August, 10:41 a.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants Antechamber 3. I'm so sorry, Sasato. Should have told you about the toxin. Ray. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. Shouldering it alone, yep. No, that's not all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hope to retire the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Sasato? That you had no doubt in your mind of my innocence, but that you'd stand by me until the last. I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from Sasato, completely betrayed your faith in me. Betrayed the face, but we still believe. Hit me, Sasato. I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me to the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the streets. I'm no better, you know. Oh? Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pulled the knife from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Sasato. I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you always and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me. And as such, I have failed you as a lawyer. Oh no, no, no. I think the situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father. The fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray, can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Sasato. You know I'll always be a gallant, dashing... You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. Ray! I was so scared, you know. When it happened, I didn't know what was going on. The English woman was sitting in the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. No, it was you who stole the poison. Well, now, whatever do you mean? Then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. You were the only people in the hut at the time. That's right, just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. I don't understand how she possibly could have been stabbed like that. A great mystery indeed. Still can't believe it happened. That's why I couldn't bring myself to speak up. It'll be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went by on the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you said you saw as true. Spoken like a true Mikatoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? Not much time. We must make sure we have the facts in order. poison's gonna come under close scrutiny. It's completely new laboratory since it's ice blend of alkaline. Police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see. Yeah. Without a chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect a toxin. I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to the police headquarters. Interesting. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet. This newspaper article. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume University Medical Laboratory. Wonder how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It's all Englishwoman's doing. What? So when the professors and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. So instantly swanned in, so any computation said to Professor Mikatoa. Oh, Professor, surely your special guest would love to hear about your work on the substance there. Put me in a very awkward situation, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. So then, Soseki-san knew about the poison. Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin in too. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to meet? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh? A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. So the Soseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. Yeah, he obviously didn't come back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably, he posted it anonymously to the police. Yes, it must have been what happened. Counsel. Just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. Yes. Ray had put her face on him. Now, and told me everything. I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Mamba. Prosecutor, have you summoned a new witness? Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share. Oh? What news? Why does he look so happy about it? During the recess, was collaboration of Professor Mikatoa's laboratory at Yume University. The police re-examined a knife that was used to end Miss Jessalyn Brett's life. Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter. Oh, too kind, Your Excellency. Too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course. I had the region delivered to the police headquarters by rickshaw, so it would appear. But judging by the man's swagger, I feel we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And counsel, what were the rules? This dagger, which is so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, had no trace of poison anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake my reputation of the police on it. Armed with some regions, the test is extremely simple. Couldn't have made a mistake. I don't know. In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Not completely, but this must be the victim's blood. Anything else about this knife? It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be of little help here. German is the international language of medicine, my dear. Yes, I can certainly see the merit of labeling the bottle in Japanese, so I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate. Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness. Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well. Officer, bring the new witness. A trace of poison on a knife. But if that's really the case, how could a toxin have entered the victim's body? This is the only other way it could have entered. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Right then, mini memo of the Shoyu News. I'm what people like to call a journo. What's a journo, Father? Do you know? Journalist. Simply a contraction of journalist. I'm there where the news breaks, putting my pen to paper, catch those scoops when they're in print the next morning. They'll call me the hero of the heroine for nothing. The nice guy of the news. Putting pen to paper. That's a pencil. You're not putting pen to paper, sir. Cause you know why? You know why you're not putting pen to paper? Cause we have your pen right here. Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, what have we here? I'm sorry. Oh, brace yourself, people. Meaty Memos sends a scoop in his offering. Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer. Suspected in the Supreme Court. The breeders will lap this up. We'll set above the fold at 72 point and a 5-leg format and 4 addition. Huh? Right then, let's start with your name. Ryutaru Naruhodo. Excellent. What made you want to become a lawyer? Can we get on with the trial, please? Ryutaru has suddenly become very ambitious. Bard Kasuma's dream for a while. As a way, my name is Takasuchi Eiuchi. The so-called Dark Horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear in every defense lawyer's heart. No, the readers won't buy that. What? Witness. Yes? What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for taking this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah. Wouldn't be a journal if I didn't click quit when presented with a scoop. Not like that now. Whatever. Sometimes stories call out to me. Sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way you got to be faced. Fast legs to run with, and a fast hand to ride with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I would say. That's why I call my mini memorism. Mini memoism? Ah, yes. I remember your face. I met that day when you were interviewing myself in Soseki-san. Yes, that's right. That was me. Mini memo again. But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoyu News offices after our meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Spreads words. Criminal. Left to do as she pleases, just because she happens to be a British citizen. This horse done. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. Supreme Court rulings aren't worth paper they're written on. Aren't worth the papers they're written on. Police are just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words, she said, in my mini memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's alright. It's all here. Right here it goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket? People need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. Get the woman's story, so I could hammer her the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witnesses personally? Grim theme portrayed in this photograph. Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journal eyes. From the start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Thank you, Mini Memo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will say exactly what it is you witnessed on the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. Bench was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there was plenty of gaps to see inside. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, threw the Englishwoman to the floor, and stabbed her in the back. My journal spirit burst into flames quick as a flash. I whipped out my camera, ready to click. Pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for a perfect shot. read screens, you say? Right up, you can seriously see him through the... It's a great shot I snapped. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. There's a breeze for me. Poke my camera through and see the whole thing closer. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy. Did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yes, I saw it. The whole thing from start to finish. You say you took a photographic through a gap of one of the screens. Luckily for me, they're pretty shoddy wood. Pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it? What have you seen? Was the gamble or the life? A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in journalism, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's minimalism for you in a nutshell. At last, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. No. Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied. This testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news, a startling photograph, and the markings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published? Oh, that's right. It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood. More pathetic excuses. Well then, counsel, proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Hold it! So you actually saw Mbami entering the hut? Yep, and she was raging like a JURNO spear. The argument you mentioned, what was it about exactly? You stole it, I didn't steal it, that kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. I mean, if they didn't her anymore, there would have been eggs. Why? The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his smiles first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry. And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me. Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. Hold it! Do you swear before this court you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ha! It's a precise moment. I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out, from start to finish. I'm a simple planner of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to court exactly what you witnessed. Right you are. It's all here in my mini memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, just an English woman was on this stool at the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused's own testimony confirms it. She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly. That's what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. The next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. For a while, the pair of them began to end up in the middle of the hut, arguing fiercely. The girl went for the student, but the girl dodged and got out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back, and the two passed each other. Never sugarcoat truth. That's what mini memoism is. By the way, mini memoism. Whilst you are watching the terrible scene unfold before your eyes, there's a gap in the screen. Did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film? Journalists have to be observers. We can't get involved in it. That's our raison d'etre. So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all? Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in. That's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think it's that this last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Professor, what are you? I will grant the defense's request. Muni memo, son. You will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of memoism, but I'll gladly prove my words aren't meaningless. So immediately, my thought goes right to this pen. Never set foot nor spoke with the English woman. I was only there as an observer. We're following the understanding that this pen belongs to him now. Like that's where my head is at. We're believing this pen belongs to him. The initials match his.
Objection!
So, Mini Memo-san, until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. Press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. By the way, that's more mini memoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What are you suggesting with those recursory words, Counsel? Mini Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. And in fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you? If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Ray Membami. Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also R.M.? No! Write in Mini Memo. R.M. That's That's horse dung! Can't you see? One of the central tenets of minimalism is being a pencil user. And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, your right hand. There's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you have been rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung? Mini Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Jesselyn and Brett in the beach house?
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. Exactly. Shoyu News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be many people with the initials RM, as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who the owner really is. In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen clearly reveals its owner's identity.
Got it!
As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, Mini Memo-san. Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Shoyu News. In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly, the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Mini Memo-san, how do you respond? No! Explain yourself, witness. So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. Use nothing but honest tactics. Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that group tragedy unfolded. I, Shoyu News reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with an Englishwoman. Why would you hide that? Why would you hide that from us? Like, hello? Like, very important details here, buddy. Highly suspect. An interview? You never mentioned this before. When exactly was this? As I said, it was before the evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. But it couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing. And as we Mimenoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes. Alright, but on one condition. Condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. I need to call back my earlier witness, Soseki Natsumi-san. Soseki-san. Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Embrace yourself. It's not a harmless one. It's big. What? Minimalism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Very well. I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. Soseki-san hiding something? I asked an English woman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from the outside, I saw the woman being stabbed, and the other witnesses coming around. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why minimalism demands it revealed now. Okay, so I think I see what I need to do. I need to go to that statement, press him, and then Soseki's going to react. The victim regained consciousness? Ah, well, and when did you decided to ask her a question? That's, true. Yes. He did. That's not all. The woman gave him a very defined answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack? It wasn't even a considerate conversation. Yes, I did pose whether the English... I guess I did pose the withering English rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She is barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense. I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. She implicated Ray.
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say? Well, now, you hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man? Out with it, you yokel hack! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs in the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray? Ran up to the beach to see what happened. Beach house to see what happened. To find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. Then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! But what did you ask her, Soseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't. She said nothing in response. But... When in the stand, you will answer the question asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or resistance, I demand that you amend your testimony. I will. I asked her, who did this to you? but she never replied.
Hold it!
So we try to find out who the culprit was. He who asks the question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. And having been labeled a criminal twice in my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever. However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond. Is that correct? I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stoop mustache because I'm Japanese. Oh dear, Saseki-san had really developed a dislike for the English, it seems. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia. But Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all, did she, writer man? Huh? Well, yes, right. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose. Soseki! She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant? Saseki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, brought over the forest, the student girl was standing on the far side of her. I asked who did this to you, and will summon her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. She could still have been pointing at the reporter though, because she knew the reporter was back there. Because it can't be denied. The direction of the student girl who stands accused today. No. Saseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But, fiddlesticks, I say. It's not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. The English woman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but it was trembling. When she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly. A very different direction to where the student girl was standing. So we're to the back hut. Nobody was standing at all. You mean that your memory of events in the direction in which the victim was pointing were both unclear? Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection!
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond any and all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps the finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because the court can see there was no one else other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. Not true. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime. I'm inclined to agree. In the absence of credible arguments to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. No! The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyer's hopes dashed. 92 points across the whole page. We're doing an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Sasada. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate your claim with evidence, the judge will give his rule, and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father. No, it's not impossible. You don't know about the... You don't know how the crime is committed. Possible though the task may seem. Possible though as the task may seem. we have no choice. Let's think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere, I'm confident we'll find the clues we need. So what I'm thinking, like, we know, like, the reporter's over here. Mini Memo is somewhere over here. If Jeslyn was pointing back towards where May was, but at a slight angle, it would bring over here, and that would roughly be where this picture was taken. Ray gave us her account of how the events unfolded in the defense antechamber in the trial. Show us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. Sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what... And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, was a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in the beach hut that was empty but herself and Ray? Somewhere amid the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to the question. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add. So, the gallant yokel student's luck has finally run out. I can't say I'm surprised. In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. It's a crucial turning point. If we can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim?
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your education for the time being. Oh, to what end, counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
An alternate theory? Ha! None exists.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the time who could have committed this crime. What? And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was through those around her at the time. By mustering all her remaining strengths and pointing a trembling finger in her killer's direction. This is fiction! Fantasy! Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaro Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency? You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed?
Take that!
The true culprit was in this area here. There, counsel? That's right, Your Excellency. I believe the culprit was hiding in this location I've indicated. Why? Oh, it's rather say. Huh? Excuse me. Okay, so, well, I guess it would have to be here then, right?
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett is concealed in this location here. Are you mad, counsel? You're suggesting that the culprit was outside the hut? What? Order, order, order! But student lawyer Naruhodo Esquire. That makes no sense at all. You just pointed the exact spot where I was hiding my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that. Obviously, the cover had been outside the hut. There's no way he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Actually, Prosecutor Yuji, there is a way. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that this is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. You're bluffing! You're bluffing! The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates the theory that the victim was stabbed from the outside of the hut? Because yeah, there is a kind of a gap right here, directly above it.
Take that!
The original photographic print? Yes, it's clearly visible in the print. Traces of fatal thrusts delivered from the outside of the beach.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing. I'm not sure everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is I'm referring to. Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit to the court. Where this photograph is a trace of the stabbing which you claim to have took place from outside the hut.
Take that!
Look closely just here. In the screen in the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. No! I can't see any such thing. It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary. Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. Everyone present at the scene. And of everyone present at the scene, there's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Raiten Mini Mammal-san. It could only have been you. No!
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim is almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of the farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not. We're not? If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on the stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. A stool? Have another look at the photograph. There's a slit in the read screen. Would align perfectly with the back of the person who was sitting on the stool. My word! So, in fact, the victim was killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the reeds. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively, but then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. For the defendant, Membami-san, she apologized. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Mini Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge? This is absurd! That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means the defendant, Membe-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud. Nah, it's not over yet. There's no way it's over. No, this can't be. The usually can't. What is my growth? My growth of hope. If it wasn't an operation, I can't accept this. I won't. I see no reason for this continuation of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude the proceedings by delivering my final verdict in. Hold it! Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and banning them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the reinforced walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have this hand on the hilt and the blade. It is perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference, if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. What? What? Wait, what are you talking about? Brace yourselves, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. What? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. That poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understood that the deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupil are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. She had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her body. How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed who's in the back was whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by knife, but by poison. You already discounted that. You're like, oh no, she wasn't killed by poison. There was no poison on the blade.
Objection!
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already.
Objection!
Forgotten already, have we, Yoko? During these very proceedings, those laboratory professors on your side is assisted in proving blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. So let me get this down, the facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial. Turns out headline making red hair. Is that about right? Well... But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? The undeniable, obvious answer to that. The lady most likely embedded it. You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass have been knocked on the sandy floor of the beach hut. Poison could have been slipped into ether. Somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make for a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established. So
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Huh? Don't tell me you've forgotten. It's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes and prime press fodder in it. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet, after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of this magnificent beard, Your Excellency. We claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journo and I'm a man. I never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. I'm not about to start now, because that's many men of this. For a brief moment, I thought I'd be illuminated by the truth. Slipped right back into obscurity again. So where's this trial going to take us? Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman. That's the very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl had that pompous English murder argued, I got my go. The courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did. Someone else would have to see justice is done. So you admit it then. Everything happened as I described. You were the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the reed scene. Can't blame this miserable country. You can blame this miserable country of ours. Countries that blows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Flat bang in the middle of her charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that truth is told, I feel really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. The pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This journalist here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. The witness had administered the poison himself. He need only to have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonessential. And therefore, the reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. Yes, that's right. Yes, it is. Logical and true. Glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last. This is unbelievable. After Mason the product from his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-sama. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination of this trial. Yes, Your Excellency.